All right. Well, welcome to our final panel of Girls in Motion, Redefining Health. And I'm your host, Kathy Higgins, the CEO of the Alliance for Healthier Generation. And I am joined by a stellar group of women that I'm thrilled to introduce you to. So first, Olympic gold medalist, Kaylee Humphreys, also the former member of the U.S. Women's National Soccer Team and current Fox Sports reporter, Leslie Osborne, an Olympic gold medalist and Vice President of Community Impact at League Apps, Benita Fitzgerald. So welcome everyone, and thanks for your time. Well, on our topic today, in sport and physical activity, winning is often narrowly portrayed as the result of that optimum physical health and ability. Seeing your strength out in your sport and seeing you compete physically. But really what we all know is that research strongly recommends and suggests and leads us to knowing that strong integrated health is essential for overall well-being and success. This whole notion of mind and body really competing for the winning combination. So I'd love to start our panel off initially by just inviting you all to answer and respond to this question. And what is it that you think the benefits of integrating various aspects of health, physical, social, emotional, and mental, into the ability to compete at the highest level possible? So Kaylee, I'd love to start with you if you're willing to kick us off.
Of course. For me personally, making sure that all of the aspects, physical, mental, social, all of it, in order to be the most successful version that I can be of myself in sport is important. I've learned throughout my career that my body can't differentiate stress. It doesn't know if I'm mentally stressed and overthinking or over processing stuff. It can't tell if I've spent too much time in the gym, overstimulation, all of the above. The physical as well as mental effects of what this world has to offer is and does affect us as people. And so we have to monitor all those things, which to me then shows that they all play a very vital part to how healthy we are, how happy we are, and how we're able to move forward in life. And so understanding and knowing that stress comes in many different forms, as well as happiness and joy, we have to make sure that we take care of all of those elements in order to be our best self. And so when it comes to sleep, when it comes to the environment that we're in, where we live, who we hang out with, when it comes to how hard we physically push our bodies, all of these things play a factor in how we not only perform in sport, but how we live our everyday life. And so it's definitely important to look at all of these factors moving forward.
Thanks so much. I love that the body can't differentiate the stress. So Benita, would you share your thoughts?
Certainly. I think we've seen several of our top athletes in the world over the last couple of Olympic Games in particular having mental lapses, if you will, or opportunities where their mental health has had to take precedence over their physical performance. And these are young women in particular who have amazing, storied careers, and no one can say they're not the best in the world at what they do. However, even they are human and have to pause every once in a while or assess their overall mental, physical, and emotional health and how that's related to their performance. I take this from a youth and what lessons we can draw for youth and young athletes as they're growing up. I think putting more of a emphasis on youth-centered sport and their ability to have some agency in making decisions about how those programs are run and managed, and putting them first and at the center of any and all activities so that they have fun doing the sport activities. What we have seen, particularly as the pandemic has so severely impacted participation rates among young people, is that the average age that kids drop out of sport now is about 10 and a half. And after about just 3 years of playing sport. And the number one thing they want to get out of it is to have fun. And when you put them at the center and when you give them a voice and you focus on their youth development through sport, the social emotional learning they can gain through sport, the all of the great lessons and benefits that sport has to offer beyond the success they might have or the X's and O's of the game, how fast they might run or swim or how far they might jump. All of that is important, and sport is certainly about your personal best and trying to win and all of that. But when you put them at the center and youth development and all of the other benefits, I think it makes for a more of a holistic experience for them. They'll stay in there longer, and ultimately we'll have a whole lot, better athletes on the back end at the Olympic Games and beyond.
And beyond. Thank you, Benita. I really just appreciate you just recognizing the significant drop off in participation that occurs. So at 10 and a half, if we see girls participating less, and you think about the elite level that you all have achieved in your lives, if there's not a feeder system of girls being in motion and participating and engaging and enjoying it, then there'll be less opportunity for those to rise to the level that you all have achieved yourselves. So really appreciate the recognition of that. I don't think we have Leslie back yet, but we'll catch up with her. Callie, I was going to go to you on this next question. And what does integrating physical and social, emotional, and mental health look like specifically in your life?
Well, just to quickly follow up on what Benita said too, I think what I've seen personally and experienced not only throughout my career, I don't have kids, but definitely wanting to pay attention to young girls in sport, is that girls do participate in sport for different reasons than boys, and acknowledging that. And instead of just saying, hey, everybody's the same, all young kids are the same, and what they want and need out of it needs to be the same, and there's this blanketed coverage, and that's just not true. There definitely is a lot more of a social aspect on why girls and kids in sport participate, and we need to be treated differently, boys and girls, not drastically, but there are different motivations for why, and the social aspect, and then how girls move forward in sport. Do we need to offer them 20 or 30 minutes at the beginning just to get all the chatters out so that they can focus, and how we operate? And I think coaching, there's a huge aspect within coaching too, and what we need to do in order just to allow for young females to get what they need out of sport and to find what it is that motivates them, so that they do retain in sport longer and that they are motivated, so that they individually can move forward. For me specifically, growing up in sport was always my safe place. It was always where I felt that I was contributing, where I felt like I could be myself, and where I really felt like I had something to offer, and I could kind of hide within the gym or within athletics, and I didn't have to be or put on a show or do anything outside of that. It also offered me an opportunity to grow, and as Benita said, to develop those skills, whether it be learn coachability, how to adapt and work with people that I wouldn't necessarily want to be teammates with or work with, but skills that will serve in business and in life. How to be a leader, as well as how to be able to take direction at the same point. Things that I've had to work on, I haven't always been perfect within my career. And I think we can all relate to that too. But there are a lot of skills that sport offers and things that I've had to learn within the entirety of my career. And the older that I get, that changes. And I'm able to draw on past experiences because of what I've learned. And I think, moving forward, it is just very important that we do. And within my life specifically, I'm at a different point now. What I needed when I was 20 years old, I wasn't married. I didn't have a dog and a house and a family. I could be gone on the road a long time, and just made sure I called in every now and then. And now I'm responsible to a husband and FaceTime and taking care of animals and owning property. And so what I need to do as an athlete is very different. And those real life stresses start to creep in as I get older. For me specifically, I'm at this crossroads of wanting to start a family, but still wanting to compete. And how do I integrate both of those aspects so that my real life goals can still be achieved, as well as my sport goals can continue to be achieved? Because I don't believe I should have to choose. And there are women out there that have, shown that you don't have to choose to be able to be successful in life and in sport. And so I think the biggest thing is just acknowledging that all of these different, in the Olympics, we work in 4-year chunks, but there's also different chunks that exist within life and what we need and what we require. And then the ability to adapt as we go through that is very important.
Yeah, just last follow-up. Poor Kathy can't get a word in edgewise here. I just wanted to just say, I was really fortunate to, as a young person and throughout my athletic career, to be able to have a more well-rounded experience and life. And I was a musician in middle school and high school, first chair flute and piccolo. I was a strong student. I got married while I was still competing. I didn't have kids, didn't quite get that balance right. So no advice there for you right now. But it's, to me, it was important to have that well-rounded life such that my sole focus wasn't track and field, where if something went wrong on a given day, bad practice, bad race, didn't make a world championship or Olympic team, or, all these devastating things can happen on your career, but you have a family support system, you have friends, you have other pursuits, you have your education, you may have a part-time career that you're pursuing. Those are the things that make for a full life. And the well-roundedness that we're talking about, health comes in all different ways. Certainly it's a physical health that we're talking about, emotional, mental health we're talking about, but those are promoted and supported by having a well-rounded life and teaching that to young people early on.
Both the old well said. Kaylee, I really appreciate you bridging to that notion of that girls and participate in sports for all sorts of reasons, and the importance of recognizing that we have to meet them where they are, and making sure that we're offering that we're recognizing what those reasons are, and supporting the girls' engagement and participation and growth based on those motivations that may be in some ways unique to either an individual or just to girls in general. And I think too, the topic that you brought up, that I know you that you share publicly in your social channels as well, just this whole how can we make sure that, when you look to the future of Title IX, and it was talked about in a previous panel on family planning and participation, and the notion of engagement and making sure people are supported for that as well. And Benita, I really have appreciated, for the years that I have followed you, just how you've talked about your youth and your mom and the things that you grew up with, the resources maybe that were just offered in your community based on your zip code, that maybe other girls of the same age had the opportunity to be a gym aide, but not do all the things that you mentioned. So thank you both for speaking to those issues. So I wanted to ask maybe just a follow-up question on this, but was there a moment when taking care of your social, emotional, and mental health alongside your physical health became necessary for your overall well-being? Benita, I'll start with you because you also talked about just even in contemporary times, how I feel like you were referring to their most recent Olympics and how people were really making some bold decisions based on their well-being and not being ashamed or embarrassed about it, but being holistic in what they needed to do for themselves. So would you be able to share where maybe you were able to make those decisions for yourself?
Yeah, I think as an athlete myself, like you said, I was fortunate enough to be born or to start middle school the year that Title IX was passed. So I know I'm definitely aging myself, but at 11 years old to not be aware at all that Title IX was passing, but living in Prince William County, where I actually live again now and have been raising my kids, where it's more progressive and they had offered girls sports even before Title IX passed, but definitely in a robust fashion afterwards. So having those opportunities before me and being able to appreciate that and how sport has really been a gift that keeps on giving in my life from a career standpoint. However, I met my husband, obviously having a couple of kids, but I got to the same crossroads at towards the end of my career. Am I going to have a family? Am I not going to have a family? Am I coming back? Am I not coming back to the sport? And that career transition, I feel like to me was the time where I had the biggest hurdles, not to use since I was a hurdler, to overcome. And I look at, we're getting hints of whether or not Serena is going to participate at Wimbledon this year. We were talking about Simone and Michaela at the last winter and summer games. Is it time to retire? Is it time to not retire? If I retire, what am I going to do after that? How am I going to take care of myself in cases of someone in track and field like myself, a hurdler? I might have made some money while I was competing, but I didn't, retire on a nest egg of money. And so it's this balance of pursuing. I was lucky to be in track and field where you get a full scholarship and get to pursue your education. So I ended with a degree in engineering that I could parlay into a job afterwards. But a lot of athletes are not necessarily available to do that. If you're a skier or several other, you could go to school on a skiing scholarship. If most people, if you're the best in the world, you're not necessarily sitting in a classroom. You're running all over the world chasing snow most of the year. So I just think that for me, that was the time where it all kind of came to a head. And to exacerbate things, I got divorced at the same time from my first husband at the same time that I was making this transition. We had financial difficulties. So thankfully, strong family, well-rounded approach so that I had my degree. I had worked part-time while I was still competing towards the end of my career. And I was able to, cobble all of that together to make a life for myself and launch the next phase of my life. But for me, that was the biggest challenge that I ever faced as an athlete, was coming to those decisions, creating a life for myself as I transitioned out of sport and keeping myself sane in the process. It was a huge challenge, and I'm just very blessed to have had loved ones around me that supported me and helped me through all of that.
Thank you so much. Kaylee, I'd love to invite you to share your unique experience and story as a decorated Olympian on this topic of social, emotional, and mental health alongside your physical health.
Yeah. Throughout my career, it has been a lengthy career, luckily, that I've had, and it is continuing, but such as Benita, I have gone through divorce. Every athlete is not immune to real life that continues to exist while you're doing sports. So the biggest challenge is, how do you blend and make both work? And I don't believe in a 50-50 balance. Real life is going to take over sometimes, and sport is going to be able to be at the head sometimes. And so being at 100%, understanding that sometimes there is going to be more focused on your mental or your social well-being, and sometimes there's more focused on your physical sport attributes to create that, 100% each day, and every day is different, and what that looks like is so different. And just understanding that it's okay in those moments to focus on something different. I've had family members pass on, and I've had to just, take a week off of training to get myself back to being in a good headspace and being physically as well as, emotionally ready to compete. For me, my biggest challenge came 3 years ago when I chose to leave competing for the Canadian Olympic team and then join Team USA. The reason why I left was around safe sport. I physically, as well as mentally and emotionally, did not feel safe around my coach. And I made that known. And the leaders that were there did not protect me. And I had to walk away myself. I knew I wasn't going to be okay if I stayed where I was. But choosing and knowing it was ending a career, a 16-year career where I was a 3-time Olympic medalist in bobsled, that's huge. I had built myself up in Canada to be one of the most recognizable in the country. And I had to then not only be willing to walk away, but I may or may not be able to start again. And that was so scary. And I had no idea if it was going to work. But at the same point, I knew I wasn't okay where I was at. And I knew that my life was forever changed, having been coached by that coach for a year. And I needed to put myself first. And it was more than just the physicality of where can I go and compete. It was, I have to be okay mentally and physically, and verbal and mental abuses and should not exist in sport, but it does. And so that is a battle I will continue to fight, that a lot of athletes are, being very vocal about now, which is great. But that was definitely my biggest challenge, was putting my health and my safety, ahead of anything else. And it worked. And I don't know how many other athletes can honestly say that. At the end of the day, I was able to get citizenship and compete for Team USA and win a gold at this last games. And that's not guaranteed for any athlete. And it was not guaranteed for me, literally 2 months before the games. I didn't have citizenship and I didn't know if I was going. So it was a giant risk, but I knew it was a risk I had to take. I knew it was a risk that I had to show other women and other girls in sport upcoming that you need to put yourself first. You need to be okay physically, mentally, and emotionally in your position. And it's okay to take steps back. It's okay to stop one avenue and take a different direction. You have to constantly put yourself first and make sure that you are safe and that you are healthy first and foremost above everything. But that you also don't have to give up your goals and dreams in the pursuit of doing that as well.
Thank you. Hey, Leslie. It's okay. We're glad to see you. You're on mute right now, but we're happy to see you.
Well, my computer almost blew up.
Yeah.
So I'm on my iPad now. So I'm so sorry, everyone.
No.
I'm just happy to be on here. So continue on.
Yes, no, it's great. Hold on, and I'll bring you into this discussion in just a second. I just, Kaylee, I do want to, you demonstrated, you've demonstrated your, the physical aspect of your commitment to your sport and the excellence in your sport, but you also publicly demonstrated your resilience and your commitment to yourself, and took great risks in doing that. And for that, we, thank you and recognize you, and just your advocacy for maybe what some people would refer to even the dark side of sport, and for girls and women, and the things that you speak out on are just, just critically important. So thank you for that. Well, Leslie, we're so happy to see you. We know it's been a big week for you as well, and especially as it relates to your sport and Title IX. And as I mentioned to you earlier, it's been a pleasure to get to know you, not only by reputation, but through your really strong social media presence. And I'll start there with you, Leslie, on, so, in social media, from social media to TV to movies, often promotes this narrow image of physical health. And it's this one dimension view of body image, and as key to success in sports and physical activity. So given your respective roles in media and youth development, how do you think this affects youth? And even though you're so strong in your presence in media, how do you reflect on how to support youth as they think about their image in social media?
Yeah, it's tough. I'm thankful that my career on the US national team started to wind down as social media started to ramp up. And for that, I'm kind of fortunate, I feel like, because being a young kid right now with the impact of social media, it's a blessing and it's also, not a blessing. And I think that the portrayal that I had growing up without social media and luckily having these amazing mentors that maybe I didn't know, but I got to see on TV, Brandy Chastain and Julie Foudy. These are strong, confident, powerful women. And I think as a youth, when I met them in person after a game, that changed my trajectory. And my idea of being strong and what I wanted to grow up and be like was a strong woman. And I'm thankful for my mom. I'm thankful for the women that were in my life and continue to be in my life. But I think now with all the social media out there, I'm on the media side. So I see what's put out there, especially on social media, and it's really scary. I think the most that we can do as parents and in media and as former and current athletes is continue to showcase strong, confident, hardworking women that are working and girls that are working on all components of their health, not just the way they look. And that strong is the new beautiful. And working hard and sweating and shedding all those wet drips coming down your face, that's beautiful. And I think when I look at the media side, I look at just women's sports and what they've done as a women's sports only platform. And they're only showcasing female sports and female athletes of women accomplishing their goals, doing incredible things. And I think that the more that we put out there on the positive side and knowing that so many athletes and women are working on all parts of their health, that's strong, that's beautiful, that's what we need to continue to do, and not showcase these images of women that quite frankly don't look like that. And for girls to know that that's not real, that a lot of women are being photoshopped and a lot of things are added to that, and that being strong and being confident and having that self-awareness, that self-belief, that is strong and that is beautiful and that is needed.
That's awesome. Thank you, Leslie. Leslie, I wonder if you'd be willing to continue, because you transitioned from this very public role as an athlete to then this very public role as a news anchor. And so as you achieve success in that arena, in your next career as a news anchor, how did this play out for you as well? Like this whole notion of being a woman news anchor. Did you find that you had to demonstrate your strength, not only physically but mentally, in being successful in that?
Absolutely. I'm walking into male-dominated worlds and rooms all the time. As an entrepreneur, I own my own business in the TV world. Being a sports analyst on Fox Sports, CBS, the coverage that I do, I'm walking in rooms where I need to be comfortable and I need to be confident. And I'm so thankful for sports and the role that sports played in my life to give me all those skill sets and traits that allow me to walk into a room and know that I can do something. And I always go back to it. I think about all the highs and lows of my career. Some of the best times making Olympic rosters, making World Cups, playing in front of 70,000 people, getting national championships, to the lowest points, tearing my ACL, being told I would never play the game again. And I go back to that, and that gives me strength and perseverance. And I worked so hard on the mental side of my game and the self-belief and waking up every day, being positive, having a goal in mind and going after that. And I think that I'm constantly reminded of those things. And I think that again, now having 3 young girls, I just want them to be involved in sports. I don't care if they play soccer. I just want them to be passionate about something, to love something, to commit to it, to work hard, to be goal orientated, because that's all going to help them with their self-confidence and their belief. And whether or not they go on and play sports and play professional sports and play for the US team like their mom did, that's going to allow them to be successful in life and to be able to walk into a room, no matter who's in that room, and know that they can do anything.
Yeah, no, Leslie, I love how you engage your girls at the gym, not for them to be bodybuilding or working out,
Yeah.
but the relay races that I see them doing in the gym as you're doing your workout is pretty special. And I think, you know, you lift up the role model that you are for them as a mom and certainly a public figure and an athlete. So it sounds like to me that you got your MBA on the field and you applied it into the business world to be successful as well. So love that. Benita, would you share your unique experiences as a national youth development leader and former athlete in this subject of media and social media and how it affects youth?
Excuse me. Yeah, I'm having firsthand experience with it at this point with a teenage daughter transitioning. I think I said this earlier, can't remember, who's going to play, to run track, D1 track and field at University of Maryland in the fall, and is just wrapping up her high school career, or just did this past weekend. So it's interesting to watch how the pressures these young women are under when they are considered elite in their sport at whatever level. That could be middle school, high school, college, and beyond. And so it's, you know, is she an All-American? Which nationals did she go to? Did she, and what they portray on social media and how that might differ. So was a young woman I saw got fifth in a race, but she actually posted her semifinal race where she was winning and did post the time she ran in the final. So it made it seem like she didn't say she won, but the video she posted pretended like she did, if that made sense. And so there was another example of a woman on Maya's team who hadn't quite signed her scholarship yet with the university of her choice. And they were having a signing day with several kids on the team. Maya was included, and she wanted to be included this day. So she was going to pretend as if she'd signed a letter of intent that she hadn't actually signed. And so, you know, these are issues that the pressure that these kids are on, the anxiety that they feel, keeping up with the Joneses is a whole different thing now, because everything is splattered on social media and nothing happens in silence. Nothing happens behind the scenes. It's all out there for the world to see. And so they want to present the best of who they are. And so those lines of integrity are sometimes blurred because the kids feel pressure to always be in the limelight, in the spotlight. So, you know, those are some of the things that I'm seeing among young people, and how not just media itself, it's more self-imposed to me because of the peer pressure they're having that goes so beyond anything I felt like as an athlete or as a young person, or even now, quite frankly, as an adult, because I'm not on social media all that much. And so we all know people put their best foot forward on social media. They put the best out there, not the worst. But I think these young people are taking it to a whole different level, and athletes in particular are as well. And with name, image, and likeness being a big deal now for college kids, I can only imagine the additional pressures that my daughter's going to face as an NCAA athlete.
Benita, thanks. This leads to maybe my next question that I'd love each one of you, if you'd be willing to address, and that then thinking about the future, how would you like to see content and messaging in the media and elsewhere change in order to support our youth during this critical time of their lives as they're developing their own habits to support their total health? Kaylee, can we start with you? Yep.
unmute.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, we definitely can. I think it's important, and what I would love to see, especially around, female portrayal, whether it be Instagram, on TV, whatever it is, that we're portraying success not only as winning, but as moving forward, as growing, as I'm sure a bunch of people have seen the diagram. It doesn't go from A to B up here. There's a whole bunch of being intertwined all to get through there. And I've learned just as much from my failures, from my setbacks, as I have from my successes. And I think it's important to be real and to understand that, especially on social media, which from a lot of brand and images and sponsors and all of that is a big part. How many followers do you have? How do you get paid? There is another element. Like you said, for bobsled is not a university driven sport. So how am I getting sponsors and funding? And, Instagram and Twitter and social media, TikTok is a big part of that. And I think there is this misconception that you need to be perfect. You need to be winning all the time in order to do that. And while it's important to post that, it's important to not only post your failures, but also your real life that exists too. And so I think the more real we can be with all of our content, hopefully that will encourage that younger generation to also be real. You don't need to have the 6-pack 24/7. It's fine to have roles. You don't have to win every time. It's okay to come second or fifth or lose, because you're growing. And as long as you're doing the best you can, and this is what I hope most people understand, that's the best that you can do. And you will continue to learn and grow, but just be your most authentic self. You don't have to be perfect or be anybody else but you, and allow sports and allow your real life to come in, and do the best you can with it and continue to grow and learn in life, because that's all we're doing. Literally, that's how it all goes, and have fun in the process. And so fun is an important part, and it doesn't mean it needs to be super motivating and rah rah, and if I cry it's a bad thing and it makes it not fun. It's just that you need to understand your worth and your value. You need to be confident. Let sports teach you what confidence is, how to walk into a gym, a room, a male dominated scenario, or in some cases a female dominated room, where that can equally be as overwhelming and still be your authentic self. And the more we can portray that and support the women that are portraying that, I think the better it is for that next generation and for ourselves now.
No, that's great. I love that, finding your joy in your participation. Kaylee, I need to tell you, I have new appreciation of you being this fierce athlete, because I did go to Lake Placid, and I did the public version of getting on the track and the bobsled track there, and just from stage 4 down, and I thought of you the whole time in the whole 50 seconds I was on there. But what an amazing sport for you to participate and lead in and win in. So thank you. Leslie, would you be willing to speak to your thoughts on this question?
Yeah, well, I think Kaylee nailed it. I feel pretty similar to her. I think the journey is something that, like she touched on, the highs, the lows. It's not from point A to point B. And from the outside looking in, it may seem as if someone got to a certain place without any bumps along the road, but that's not the case. And everybody has their story. Everybody has the part of the journey that they had to get through. And I think that needs to be showcased more. And like she talked about with social media, it's unfortunate, because I think a lot of people do connect with the reality side, but not a lot of people put out their toughest times. And I think the infrastructure in colleges and youth teams and all these sports need to do and implement a better job of focusing on the mental side of athletes and children and collegiate athletes, checking in with them, making sure that how they're doing outside of the classroom, outside of the sports field. I found, working close to a university here, Santa Clara University, that some schools and some organizations and teams are doing a better job than others in taking care of their athletes, not just on the sports side, but making sure that they are being supported and that it's an open dialogue and conversation to check in with your players and to make sure that they are okay. And that that needs to be highlighted more. And so again, back to social media, I think that it's a unique opportunity that this generation has. But I would love for even brands and companies to do a better job of showcasing things outside of just highlighting people's highs and photoshopping and make someone look as if they're perfect and they have this perfect body, because that's just not the case. And it's going to be work from all of us, all institutions and sports teams and everything. So I think that we have to all come together and have a piece to this.
Yeah, thank you. Benita, I'm actually going to go to our final question and start with you on this. And it's, as you look back on your integrated health journey, what advice would you either give to your younger self, or what would you give to youth today? And I will ask each of our panelists to answer this, but Benita, if we could start with you.
I wanted to say one thing about
Sure.
kind of the media before I answer that question, and that is really short. It's over 90% of women executives in America, in the C-suites of America, participated in sports when they were younger, and that's no accident. The lessons that Kaylee and Leslie and you and I have talked about, we learned on the playing field, that have translating and continue to translate to our lives and to our daughters and my son and others. It's important. And I think if the media did more to highlight the benefits of sport participation, particularly at a young age, how that translates, how the importance of having those coaches be coach mentors and be teaching certainly the X's and O's of sport, but also the life lessons at the same time, is really important. My lesson that I learned was on the track a few weeks before the Olympics in '84, and I was always thinking to myself, what going into the race, particularly a big one like that, thinking about someone else winning. I was thinking for myself, I want to run my personal best. I want to make it to the final. I hope, gosh, wouldn't it be great if I got on the victory stand? Because I think the era I was in with all of the Eastern Bloc countries and the doping and all that, it was always a little bit out of reach for me to think about being on the victory stand. Well, in '84, a couple, Russia and East Germany and Bulgaria, a few small number of Eastern Bloc countries didn't come, and some of my top competitors weren't there. And we were just excited that we actually had a level playing field for a change. Anti-doping policies were just getting in place. And so I actually had some hope going into this race that with this level playing field, that I could actually ascend to the top of the victory stand. And I was sitting at University of Tennessee, my alma mater, training one day, and after practice, thinking to myself, why not me? Why not me? Why can I not be the one that ascends to the victory stand, top of the victory stand, takes the victory lap, crosses the finish line first, gets the gold medal? And that question has been following me throughout my career. That lesson that I learned on that track, that I went into that stadium in Los Angeles owning that gold medal, expecting to win. And now when I go into a job interview, or someone comes to me as director of the Olympic Training Centers and says, hey, do you want to be CEO of the Women's Sports Foundation? I'm saying, going from a director to a CEO? Well, yeah, certainly. And it happened. I said, why not me? I always wanted to run a nonprofit. And so I think teaching young people to ask themselves that question, to challenge themselves to do something beyond their expectations, but knowing they've got the tools to get there, is what I would say.
I love that. Thank you. Leslie, how about you?
Sorry, what was the question?
Yeah, no, what advice would you give to either your younger self or the youth today, as it relates to critical time in their lives when they're developing their own habits to support their total health?
I mean, I think I would start earlier. I look back and, thankfully I was part of the U.S. women's national team and U.S. soccer structure, and they provided psychologists and therapists for us to talk to and everything. But fortunately, I think my parents set up a foundation of healthy habits and working hard, exercising, positive, self-talk, all those things. But I think that as I became into a college athlete and professional athlete, the pressure, went to a different level. And I was thankful to have that foundation. But if kids and athletes can start younger, really on all aspects, right? Not just their physical, because their physical strength can only get you so far. Working hard can only get you so far. But the other aspects are something you have to work towards to be your best self. And so the earlier that these kids and athletes are taught those things, they can put work in, whether that's meditating every day or taking 10 minutes of watching footage of you being your best player, or you're giving you that self-belief. The earlier you start focusing on all aspects, I believe you'll be your best self and your best athlete. And really, for me, as a mama to 3 girls, having my hand in a lot of different hats, it allows me to be the best mom, best wife, best entrepreneur, still working on all aspects of my house. So again, really starting at that young age and it becoming the foundation and the importance outside of just that physical strength.
Thank you. And Kaylee, how about you?
The advice I would have wanted to know and have learned throughout my career growing up is to not listen to other people. And if it's something that I truly believe in, if it's something I'm really passionate about, I'm going to have to fight for it. I'm going to have to work hard for it, to believe in myself, but to understand there are always going to be a lot of naysayers. There's always going to be a lot of haters, people that say, well, this hasn't been done, so it means it can't be. Well, this hasn't been done before, it means it can't be. You can't have children. You can't go on to, have a second event at the Olympics. You can't do this. And so the whole notion, like Benita and Leslie have said, of why not me, and bringing all of these lessons that we've learned forward within sport, but understanding that there is a first for everything. And somebody's got to be the person to do it, and to stop what generally exists. And if women don't have kids while they're athletes, well, you probably shouldn't. And well, why not? And not necessarily challenging status quo, but understanding that if it's something you truly believe in, like I said, to fight for it, but to not listen to the people that aren't there, that aren't on your side, and that are ultimately going to bring you down, and surround yourself with people that are like-minded, that are, badass women like these other ones that are here on this call right now today, but the like-minded, go-getting, like women that just want to get it done. Those are the women we want to be around more. And in doing so, we'll elevate each other and ourselves, and to go after it.
Yes. Hashtag girls in motion there. A mighty girl. So I love what I heard. The theme there is just this positive self-talk, this belief in yourself, this thinking that you can. And if the naysayers are out there, but you believe in it, that you need to go for it. I think there's iterations of what may be an old Vince Lombardi quote, but victory does not always go to the stronger, faster person, but it goes to the one who thinks they can. So thank you all for being part of this panel. We also want to thank our guests for tuning in, each one of you. So Kaylee, Leslie, Benita, just really grateful for your time and your thoughts. Of course, the audience, you made it special by engaging with us virtually. So thank you for that. We do want to thank ProMedica and all of our sponsors for the support of this event and these conversations. A recording is available and will be available in the coming weeks for everyone who have registered. And just a reminder that directly following this event, we will do the professional development sessions. So it's helping girls stay active, and you should have received a separate link to join that event if you've registered for it on the healthiergeneration.org/girls in motion site. And again, want to thank everyone. I am going to pass this to Kim Turner from Positive Coaching Alliance to close us out, but really grateful to everyone. Welcome, Kim.
Thank you so much, Kathy. This has been an incredibly inspiring day. And I just want to thank these panelists and amazing sponsors and all those who have helped women who want to get it done. I love that. And all who want to get it done. I just want to say this has been a remarkable and very special day. My name is Kim Turner. I'm the director of our PCA Gender Equity Initiative. And on behalf of our whole organization, I just want to share our deepest gratitude to all the panelists of the day, hosts, sponsors, and the co-collaborator, Alliance for a Healthier Generation, for making this very special event possible. We hope today that you learned a lot about how to get and keep girls in motion in positive, lasting ways, not only this Title IX 50th year, but every day and every year hereafter. We've been sharing resources all day long, and we will continue from the Alliance for a Healthier Generation and Positive Coaching Alliance for how to get girls into the game, women coaching, girls active, and all folks contributing and experiencing more gender equitable youth sports and activity environments. And please enjoy, as Kathy mentioned, the Alliance for Healthier Generation professional development session that's just coming up, as well as our PCA professional development session, Girls in the Game, on Tuesday, July 26th at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard. And we'll have a registration link in the chat. Thank you again for this incredible day on behalf of Alliance for Healthier Generation and PCA. And have a great afternoon, and we look forward to the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Kim. Thanks, everyone. Take care.